truly speaking, what I want to talk about today is how commerce is going to change in the world. Look, internet is, AI is changing many things. It is redefining paradigms. What is so exciting about AI? Think about it, right? Think about, how AI is going to expand lifespan. We all understand that. Like, there is a very high probability that every one of us in this room would probably extend ourselves to 120 years because diseases will get, eradicated very differently. Organs will get created differently, right? So there is a lifespan argument to be made. The second big argument to be made is, we will live very differently because in the world, in the future, it is very hard to see inequality anymore. Today there is an engineer who is very good at coding, and then there is one who is not. That's going to disappear. In about 5 years from now, you might actually see every one of us across our country become super high quality coders. And that's just one example of a thing. So you're actually going to live very democratically, very differently, where you're going to essentially see the skill equality, which would lead to a very different way of living for all of us. And the third is a very disproportionate rate of growth of economic prosperity. Because of all the factors that the level of productivity that gets added into the whole world, you are going to see a very different level of productivity. So yes, AI is exciting, and that's why I presume all of you are here to listen and to learn and to imbibe it. What I would really talk about is how the world is truly shifting when it comes to commerce. Look, in the world of commerce, there is a completely new architecture also being written. When intelligence becomes democratic, it changes ecosystems. What does intelligence getting democratically involved in commerce mean? It means that it is going to impact how we shop, how supply chains work, how manufacturing works, how we think about every aspect of it. And so that is completely getting rewritten as we look at the world in the future. At inMobi, we were one of the first companies, or we were actually the first company that became a unicorn. We take a lot of pride in that because we built a product company from India to the globe. We take a pride in it because we worked in deep tech. We now take pride in actually taking on a global problem. We now take pride in actually looking at the world from, how we can bring agentic commerce to the world. Now, agentic commerce, and our platform is called Glance. Glance is all about bringing agentic commerce in the world in a way that's never been done before. We're very proud of how rapidly bringing intelligence in that world is changing everything. If you think about the product that we have truly built, we are moving from a world of personalized, feeds to personal feeds. What does a personal feed mean? Think about commerce. Commerce in the world has always been driven across, what I may like. But today, if you think about agentic commerce, it is actually centered around you. We built a platform that's launched globally. Our model of agentic commerce is launched globally. And what you would see here is personal feeds of consumers getting created in real time with products on them. What you're seeing is a single model gets trained on single consumers. We plan to train a commerce model for 1 billion people over the next several years. What it would do is it would bring intelligence into the journey of commerce for every one of us. That is a superlatively advanced way of thinking about commerce, and it is a superlatively advanced way of thinking about how every element of it would actually change. So if you think about this at a slightly more architectural manner, we have created multiple models that actually come together to essentially create this agentic experience. We have what's called the commerce intelligence graph. Think of it, the knowledge graph. The fact that there has to be a model that needs to know everything about every commerce element in the world. The fact that this is a white shirt is a world knowledge. You have to understand it. Then you have what we have built is a generative AI experience model. In that model, if you see the example, we are effectively creating an output. If you look at all the answer engines today, the output is effectively a text output. But when you think about commerce, you have to think about a visual output. So how do you create a personalized pamphlet or a feed that is just for you using intelligence? That's the generative experience that gets done. And the generative experience, unlike in the answer engine, is specific to you. And that's why the model has to be created at a user level, which is the third model, where the user model gets trained on you as an individual. That training of the user model at an individual level is what differentiates the way one thinks about shopping from everything else out there. And so I feel very excited about what agentic commerce can do. The reason I feel very excited about it, if I could move this forward, I think it's stuck. You know, you talk about agentic and then some of these smaller elements, oh, that worked, it worked. All right. One of the most important elements of the agentic commerce era is going to be a living context graph. A living commerce context graph, which basically understands your context, which context you're in, what are you looking for, what are you seeking in that moment. It also understands very different level of price intelligence. Think about today when you go for when each one of us go out there and look to buy something, we think about buying and we search for ways in which we can buy it at the most efficient pricing. You can actually put that into the model and it'll find out the pathway for the most efficient buying for you, which is the purchase path optimization basis your context, basis your price sensitivity and the brand sensitivity. And it can do this across millions and billions of potential pathways at the click of a button, and it'll do that for you at that level. That living context graph is very, very powerful, and our ability to navigate through that is what we are really trying to build. The other thing about if you think about contextual or agentic commerce, you know, Prime Minister talked about the Manav vision. What is it? It is about being transparent and accountable and human-centric. Shopping has not been considered accountable. It is seen as some people selling you things. But with agentic commerce coming in, we have an opportunity to convert the whole experience of commerce to be very transparent and very accountable. What does that mean? It means that we would certainly be opening up our model and making it transparent. In the world of AI, the reasoning engine will become transparent so that everybody can understand why you were shown or recommended a certain product. And that understanding of why is what creates transparency. And therefore, one of our big ethos is to make this very, very transparent and lead with a very different perspective of building trust in the era of agentic commerce. We also think about the fact that the consumer intelligence, as that rises, the consumer intelligence brings hordes of efficiency, because billions of people will be making intelligent decisions going forward. Today, think about the amount of money wasted at a consumer level as you go down your commerce journey. If you use agentic commerce in your era, in your life going forward, and Glance does that for you, the amount of intelligence brought into the decision making leads to significant savings, which basically come back into the economy, and then that leads to a flywheel, which is very, very powerful. And therefore, if you think about this happening at billions of people level, it creates a very different size of the market, and that's a very powerful thing to create. Similarly, the supply chains will become agentic. You know, if you think about this, when you have the consumer experience becoming agentic, it basically transcends itself into the supply chain. What's going to happen? It's going to create the demise of the marketplaces. The marketplaces today are effectively an aggregation to give you a lot more comfort. The marketplaces will become weaker. What will be the rise of it? The rise of individual brands, the rise of local brands, the like of very specialized producers. They are going to come up because the agent will be able to go find them. And that's great for our country where you have entrepreneurs sitting in every nook and corner. Not just this, you think about manufacturing. It is going to essentially evolve itself and become agentic manufacturing. In this, think about this. Because you have agentic experience at the consumer level, your precision will be given, very different precision signals will be given out to the manufacturers. And therefore, the productivity of the manufacturer changes drastically. Again, think about starting from the consumer into the supply chain into manufacturing. And that's a phenomenal change that's going to happen. Let me just explain the scale of this. Commerce in the world is 25% of the world's GDP. Same as for India. If you think about the impact of agentic commerce just at the India level, that's going to be of the order of $3 trillion in the next 20 years by 2047. That's what we are really seeking if you essentially bring AI intelligence in the world of commerce. And that's what we at Glance are truly attempting to go after. You know, given this is happening in India, you know, we have a saying which is as part of our Upanishads in Sanskrit, which is Asto ma sadgame. What does it mean? In a very simplistic way, what it is truly trying to say, be truthful, bring truth out. If you think about digital economy in the last several years, it has led to distortion. Social media has led us into a world which is not very good. They have played around with our mental abilities and have forced us to think about things in a wrong way. But I think we have an opportunity to think about how agents can be authentic. Once we make an agent transparent, authenticity becomes part of it. And I think that's how we need to lead the world very differently. And we have an opportunity, especially as a company which is coming out from India, we take that very, very seriously. So in short, we are bringing with Glance, and as inMobi, we are bringing AI in commerce. We are very proud of the fact that we are building this from Bangalore, we are building this from India for the world. We truly want to impact every consumer on the planet and bring agentic commerce, bring intelligence into commerce, and impact the world's supply chain. This event is all about audacity. We have not had a more audacious plan in our history of 18 years of me running this company or founding the company. But this is what this event does to you, but this is what technologies like AI do to you. I think it is time for us to rise and think about every possible idea in a very audacious manner. And I think this is what AI does to you. I hope every one of you rise up to that occasion and think about it that way. We are very excited. We are kicked about what we are truly trying to go about doing it. I am back to my ways of working as in my 20s. The energy is very different. The excitement is very different. And certainly the world is right now back to in your palms. If we all were living in the if we were all very active in mid-90s, we would have thought about internet very differently. We were laggards in internet. We came into the internet era about 10 years late. Big things were already built by then. That's not the case when it comes to AI, and I think we have an opportunity, not just in the sector of commerce, but in every possible sector to build global platforms. So that's what we're going to aim for. That's what we're going to try for. Thank you so much for being here and listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Tewari, for the keynote address. For the next keynote, may I now invite Mr. Vivek Mahajan, CTO of Fujitsu, May I also request everybody to please settle down?